Good evening, everybody. I hope you're doing well. As always, if we can go through the typical routine, can you let me know if you can see me, you can hear me, and everything sounds and looks okay? If you could do that, that would be fantastic. And then I'm going to say hello to some of those people that are in already, and we'll get started then on tonight's live stream. So please do let me know in the chat if you can see and hear and everything looks and sounds okay. So, how are we all doing? That's the most important thing. It's getting a little bit warmer here in the UK, which is always nice to see. So we're actually getting into springtime. So I, for one, can't wait until we actually have some nice warm weather. Thank you very much, James. Loud and clear. That's awesome to hear. So let's have a couple of quick hellos. If you'd like to say hello, give it a thumbs up in the chat as well to say that you are all good today. That would be fantastic. So who do we have in to start off with? Well, first of all, we have Innocent. I know, I gotta say this. Mugorora. I have no idea if I said that right. Probably not. But good evening to you and good evening to Uganda. So thank you very much for tuning in live, and I hope the stream comes through okay where you are. Obviously, we've got Stratos in tonight, so good to see you in tonight. It's great to see you here. And Steve Pro, as always, good to see you. James Griffiths, thank you very much for letting me know that everything sounds and looks okay, and it's good to see you in tonight. Carl, great to see you. We missed you 2 weeks ago. Hope you're keeping well, young man, and everything's good where you are. Okay, William, I'm good, thank you very much, and I hope you are as well. Thank you very much. Heinrich Gleisner, good evening to you, good afternoon. And Sal, evening, good evening to you. Michael Wright, always good to see you in. Tom Somerset, sounds good, cheers from Norway, good evening to Norway. I hope it's a little warmer over there than it might be normally. And who else we have? Sandor, good evening to you. Chris Oliveira, good to see you from Mexico. Wuta, always good to see you in. John Hussey, as always, great to see you. And the Netherlands. I love it when we get in people in from all over the world. It's absolutely awesome to see that you're taking the time out of your day to come and join us on the live stream. So thank you very much for doing that. Good evening from Dublin, John Hussey. Hope you're doing well. Hope everything is safe and sound out there, because I know that certain parts of Ireland are a little bit, should we say, unsettled at the moment. So hope you're well and you're safe and you're out of the way of any harm. Good. And Marco, good to see you in from Serbia. Hope you're well. Volker, always good to see you, young man. Hope everything's good up in the Liverpool area. Ripal, good to see you from Brisbane, right down opposite where we are right now. So again, hope you're doing well. Yanis, always great to see you. Alfred, good to see you as well. Girling, I hope I said that correct. Ronald, Anna, great to see you in from Mazatlan, Mexico. Good evening from Mexico. I'm sure it's a lot warmer over there than it is here. Alfred, good to see you in from the Philippines. RJ, good to see you in as well. Sandor, Farai. Well, thank you very much for joining me this evening. It's absolutely great to see you here. Thank you very much for the super sticker, Anna. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for that. So we've got pair character turning around, waving his hat. See, I don't know why, but for some reason I keep getting just the words of what the emoji is. So I kind of look, thinking there's a comment going on there, and then I find out I'm just reading out basically some kind of strange text about an emoji. So, yeah, so strange. So thank you very much, Anna, for the super chat. That's actually fantastic. Richard, good to see you could make it this evening. Hope you're well. So, Tanya from Serbia. I hope I said that correctly. Good evening from Serbia. So we've got a few people in tonight, so thank you very much for joining me. Now, tonight's live stream is going to be about a couple of different things. As always, if you're new here, please let me know. Put hashtag new into the comment section or the chat section, because it's good to know who's new and all those old faces that we're kind of used to having in on the live streams. Gordon Brownlee, good to see you. I hope you're doing well tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. And Insight Before Action, hi from a cold Swansea, snowing this week. It was indeed snowing this week, which is kind of crazy because on the weekend just gone, we were around 19 degrees, which for springtime in the UK is pretty good. And then we dropped to about -2 within about 2 days' time. So I don't know what's going on with the weather, but global warming, whoever came up with that moniker really needs to get the advertising campaign right, because it's certainly not global warming in the UK most of the time. Ronald, good to see you in. Thank you very much for letting me know you're new. I hope you enjoyed the live stream and you enjoyed enough to come back and join us again in 2 weeks' time. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your day. David James, same goes for you. Hope you enjoy tonight's live stream, and please do let us know what you think. Carl, very old. I didn't want to say it, young man, but it's true, it's true. It's not hashtag, it's pound for our generation. You speak for yourself, Stratos. In the UK, it's hashtag. Good evening from Bucharest. Michael Wright, old, very old. Yeah, I know the feeling. Definitely feeling it today. Okay, Gerlin, please, I hope I said that right. Hashtag new. Good to see you in tonight as well. Strahanya, good to see you, as always. Okay, so let's take a little look at the first topic, and I'm sure a few people have kind of wondered about this one. And this is definitely a two-way conversation, because I'm going to tell you what I've done over the last week or so. Now, I know this is something that is not going to be applicable to everybody in the world, because times are kind of strange at the moment all over the place. So don't expect this to be a case of listen to what I've done and then trot out doing the same kind of thing, because it doesn't necessarily work the same for everywhere. Gooding, got it right. Thank you very much. Thank you for letting me know, because I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Tanya, I hope I said that one right as well. Neil, good to see you. And like I say, hope you enjoy the stream tonight. And we've got Sinriser from Belgium. Good to see you. Thank you very much for joining in. Okay, so the first thing that we want to talk about tonight is doubling my prices. So this is the reasoning behind why I've decided to double my prices right now. And this is something, like I say, this is not going to be for everybody. This is not me giving you advice as to do this kind of thing. I'm just going to give you the reasons why I've kind of thought about doing it. And like I say, not every market is going to be able to sustain increases in price of 200, 250%, 100%, doubling, whatever kind of thing. There's lots of reasons in why I've done this. So I'm just going to basically go through my thought process behind this, and I'd love to get your feedback on how you feel your pricing is where you are. If you've come across any real barriers to increasing your pricing where you are in the world, so let me know what barriers you found, where you are in the world, and what your kind of thoughts behind it are. But basically, for probably the last year or so, I've been kind of looking at what I actually offer when I build a website. Not that I do it very often these days for clients, but when I do build websites, what I actually do. In other words, building the website is a very small part of the whole process. There's so much more that goes into it. And I'm sure anybody that's building websites for clients, freelancing, side hustle, whatever it is you're kind of doing, I'm sure you've come across the same kind of thing. And when you're new in business, or you're starting out fresh, or you don't have a client base, or not a very big client base, the first thing you always worry about, or most people worry about, is how much to charge, and are you too expensive? So what we do is we look at the market around us, and we find that there's people from Fiverr designers that'll do it for 50 quid, $50, right the way up to businesses that are charging $5,000, £5,000 for a very simple brochure website with maybe 5 pages. So there's a massive range of prices doing probably the same thing, on paper at least. However, I'm sure when you start building a website, you very quickly realize that the physical building of the pages and putting the content in is a very small portion of what you actually do. There's so many things. There's research, there's meeting the client, there's finding out what the client wants, maybe working with them to design a design brief to make sure that they've got everything they need. Design systems, which is something we'll take a look at a little later, and I want to kind of cover it in a very, very brief way. All these kinds of things are part of what we do before we even start building a website. Then we'll look at building it. Then we'll look at mobile responsive. Then we'll look at licenses. Then we'll look at maybe stock images, maybe lots of other things, maybe some SEO. The whole process is quite involved. And for me, I've kind of looked at what I do, and there's so much more to just building a website from my side of things and the whole client life cycle. I just looked at my prices and thought, this is just silly. This is not worth my time. I could actually make more money making YouTube videos than I could working with a client. And that's kind of crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I probably make more content on YouTube than I do work with clients these days. It's probably 70-30, in favor of YouTube these days. So I'm in an enviable position that I don't really need to generate lots and lots of work with clients. That being said, like I say, there's still room to take a look at what you do and realize sometimes that you are just not charging anywhere near enough. Let's just say, for example, if you worked in a place like, this is not to degrade anything, you worked in a fast food joint and you were on minimum wage, and I think the minimum wage in the UK is, say, £7.50 an hour, which is probably about $10 an hour. I could be wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you think if you did a 36-hour shift a week, you could probably make good money in that. And if you were only charging like £700 for a basic website, or maybe even £500 for a basic website, that takes you 2 weeks to work with a client, you're not earning as much as someone that works in a fast food restaurant. I mean, my maths is pretty terrible at this point, but I'm just kind of plucking things out of the air. But you kind of get where I'm coming from. What you're doing, if you're good, if you can start to build a reputation, people are coming to you, is you're doing what I would consider a skilled job. You're doing something that people are paying you for. They're paying you for your knowledge, not just for your ability to take images, take text, stick it onto a web page and throw that up online, that's ugly and just does a basic job. Most of us, if not all of us, I'm sure, are going through the process of being very, very meticulous in how we design, how we craft, how we make sure that everything works correctly, how we research into tools to make sure that we're creating something that the client will be happy with, that'll meet or exceed their expectations. All these things are skills. All these things take time to learn, time to develop. And if you're undercharging, you're doing yourself a disservice. But that's just my opinion. That's one of the reasons, or the key reasons, why I've revised my prices and thought, I'm not doing it for this kind of money anymore. So I've doubled, if not 2.5 times, a lot of my prices. And I would rather work with one client every 2 months at that price than have to work with 3 clients over the same period of time to earn the same amount of money. And this is the kind of thought process is, if you are too cheap, people will undervalue what you provide, and they will probably think that you're not very good because you're cheap. We all are quite the same kind of thing. If something is cheap, we think it's not very good. So this is kind of where my thought process is. I do a lot, like with the YouTube side of things, I'd like to consider myself to be probably a little bit above what you would consider your typical Fiverr designer building websites. I'd like to think I'm a little bit above that kind of, $50 website kind of thing. And those skills have taken me time investment, money, all the different things, learning, testing, honing, refining, all those things. And those things should come with a cost. You've got a junior mechanic and then you've got a master mechanic. Probably the wrong term, but you kind of get where I'm coming from. You wouldn't expect to pay the junior the same amount of money that someone's got 30 years experience, because you would go to them because they would potentially do a better job with more skills, more knowledge, more experience over someone that's maybe been doing it for a couple of months, maybe a year or two. That's my thought process. So do let me know in the chat what your thoughts are. Have you increased? Have you decreased your prices? Are you worried about increasing prices because you think it will potentially frighten clients or potential clients away? Let me know in the comment section or in the chat. Minimum wage in the UK 2021, £8.91. Okay, so you kind of get where I'm coming from though. You could easily make, someone that's charging £300, £350 to build a website and it takes 2 weeks, and someone that works in a fast food restaurant on minimum wage would probably be making more money in that 2-week period than someone that's designing a website. It's not right. So that's what I'm kind of saying. So let me know what your thoughts are, if you've increased your prices, if you are thinking of doing it, if you're worried about doing it, all the things that kind of encompass, pricing and so on. So let me know in the chat. And while you're at it in the chat, if you do enjoy the live stream, please do hit that thumbs up, because it tells YouTube that you like what we're doing, you like the conversation, and it helps get more people to know about the live streams when they go live every 2 weeks. So let's have a little look at some of the comments that we've got here. So I'm going to just scroll back up a little moment now just to take a look at some of these things. Okay, and I'm going to come to some of these. We've got a new little feature on here. I can actually favorite comments, which means I can go back and take a look at those comments. So I'm going to mark things that I think I want to go back to. Marco, I can see Serbia is your big fan, and a lot of people here from Serbia. I don't know. I mean, I'm just really grateful that people actually want to take the time out of the day to just hop in and become part of these live streams. For me, that's absolute gold. So if people are coming from Serbia, thank you very much. Okay, so let's have a little look. Anna, good to hear you got your vaccine yesterday. I got mine about 3 weeks ago. My next one is in June, I think it is. So providing things don't go wrong, because all the facts that are coming out saying that there's not as good as they recommend it to be and all these kinds of negative things, we'll have to wait and see. If my arm falls off, it probably wasn't a good idea to have a vaccination. Okay, Lewis, good to see you from Mexico. Michael, okay, so let's have a little look. I've got a client that owes me £2,500 right now from about a month ago. Obviously, I won't put the site live till I get it. I spent the time doing the work, so it screwed me. I think we've all kind of lived that dream. It's a tough one. I mean, I'm hoping that you at least had 50%, if not more, when you started the project. Again, like I say, let me know in the comments how you've did you get yourself that point? If this is something this you're worried about. I mean, the current climate is you could be working on a project for a couple of months. You could have a deposit off a client, do all the work, and then when it's ready to go live, something could happen. They could be, in real financial problem with the business. They could have no work. There could be a multitude of different reasons, which means that you could then end up being out of pocket because you've ultimately done all of the work. If that is the case, maybe it's time to consider splitting into 3 payments. So you take your 50% deposit to start off with. Then once the design is approved, before you start physically building the site, you take another 25%, for example. So then if something like this happens where a business goes under before you get a chance to get your final payment, at least you're only 25% out of pocket. Out of pocket is never a nice thing, but it is one of those things that 25% is better than 50%. So maybe take a look at doing that, because I know that's what I used to do years ago when I first started sort of breaking payments down. I used to do that. I used to do 3 payments. It was a 50, 25, and 25. But I generally tend to work on 50 and 50 unless the project is now a bigger project, at which point I think it's much better to then set things into deliverable points where you've got milestones that you get paid on those milestones. So you only work up to the milestone, get paid before you do anything else. So maybe look at milestone payments, maybe look at 3 payments as opposed to 2. But let me know what you've done, how you go about charging a client to mitigate this as much as possible. And with this situation, if, God forbid, you don't get that final payment, will this change how you're going to move forward with different things? Because I'd love to know how you'll handle it. Because I know for me, when you'd have situations like this, you'd always take a look at, right, how can I avoid this in the future? What can I put into place to avoid this kind of thing happening? So let me know, Michael. I'd love to know. Okay. Mentes, hope all well. I think most people in here tonight are doing well, so thank you very much for asking. I know I'm good, and I hope you're good too. Insight for action, Michael. Right, this is kind of in response to that. So, always retain the IP until it's paid in full. Learned the hard way. That's another way of doing things. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can handle this moving forward, and I think this is a thing. I mean, every situation gives you the opportunity to learn, and I think sometimes that's the thing you've got to take away from it. But fingers crossed, you do get that final payment and you can launch the site, and then you can move on from things. So I've got my fingers crossed for you. Alfred, I'm building and focus starting on my web designs as a freelancer. Wish me luck. Good luck to you. If you take the opportunities as they arise and you're sensible and you're smart, now is actually a good time to be a freelancer because your overheads are so much lower than established businesses. You can charge less than established businesses, and therefore you could probably pick up clients that maybe would like to have that established business but can't necessarily afford the extra experience and cost that they bring with a project. So take the opportunity, look for opportunities wherever they are, and good luck. Okay, Stratos, 40% up front, 30% in the middle of the project, and 30% on finish. 40, 30, 30, 50, 25, 25, however you want to break it down. These are definitely good ways of doing things. And Michael, I can see you're answering that. It was 50% up front, 50% on delivery, which is pretty much what I've done and have done for probably about 10 years now. And generally, I mean, touch wood, I haven't really had many problems with people not paying. But because you don't launch the site until they pay, if they need it, then they have to pay. And sometimes it's quite useful if you have other things as leverage. So, for example, you may be doing it on their hosting. You might have access to their old site, at which point you want to you can pause their site. Or if you've got a site that you've previously created for them and they're a client having an update, there's other ways you could look at dealing with things. I know, but however you deal with it, let us know. Keep us up to date with it, either on the Facebook group or on the next live stream. And speaking of the Facebook group, if anybody isn't part of the Facebook group right now, then just join the WP crew by going over to the link you can see by there. I'll get it in a minute. It's weird. wptext.co.uk/Facebook. Join up. Totally free. Lots of great-minded people inside there. Lots of people that are in tonight are part of that Facebook group. And it's a really nice place to be. Great for support, great for help, and great just to share ideas and help each other. So be sure to check that out and become a member if you're not already. Okay. What else do we have? Just going to go through quickly and take a little look. Pascal, good evening to you. Great to see you could make it in tonight from Johannesburg. I hope you're safe and sound and everything is good over there with you. Okay. What do we have? Insight before action. Use the Pareto law 80-20 and charge times 10 what I did 3 years ago and a little time I have free. Value increases with demand. Yeah, I mean, if you can do that, if you can increase year on year on year, then that's definitely a way to go about doing it. And that way, at least you're above inflation. I don't know what inflation is where you are. Inflation in the UK, I believe, is around 4%. So if you're going, you're increasing by 10% or you're increasing, more so every single year, you're going beyond the expected inflation rate, which is good. Like I say, if you're doing that and you're busy, all power to you. So great to hear. Sinriser, pricing is always difficult. I don't know. Oh, I'm not sure I do charge, pricing is absolutely difficult. There's no. When anybody asks, how do I go about pricing a website? It's how long is a piece of string? Because what you could charge in one part of the UK to another part of the UK can be totally different. Not to mention one part of the world compared to another part of the world. So I think what you always need to do is you need to look at the industry in the area that you are attracting. A good way to actually charge more is to be focused. In other words, you don't just become a general web designer that'll take on any kind of project. You might want to focus on restaurants, for example, or e-commerce or something. Then you can become a little bit more specialized, and therefore you could generally charge more because your skill set is quite refined, quite sort of specific in what you're doing, and that way you can charge more compared to someone that's a general kind of designer, web designer. Plus, you also have to consider how much experience you have. If you are in your first year, it's going to be harder to charge 10,000 for a website as opposed to someone that's in 10 years and they've been in business 10 years with a good track record, solid testimonials, provable track record. They can probably charge that 10 grand because they've got that to back it up. It's the same in most industries. If you're going in, you kind of have to do your apprenticeship. But this is where freelancing can be such a godsend because as a freelancer, you don't have anywhere near as many overheads as an agency or a small business with premises and things. So it's working smart. And there's never been a better time to be a web designer than right now because it is such a great market to be in. There's so many tools out there that allow you to become a really good designer. If you're stuck for ideas, there's tons of places you can find amazing ideas. You should never be stuck for tools because there's an abundance of tools out there that you can use. So let's have a little look. Anna, once I got confident enough with the tools I learned how to use, I had no problem charging a fair market price. The clients that want to lowball me, I just turned down. One of the biggest red flags for me to sort of take this one step further is if you have a meeting, whether it's a phone call or whether it's a Zoom call or a face-to-face meeting or whatever, and one of the first things when you talk about pricing, they try to haggle, that is usually the biggest red flag for me that they're a client that I don't want to work with, because if they're haggling from the get-go, chances are they're going to haggle through the entire process and they're going to be a pain in the proverbial. Not always the case, but probably a big percentage of the time. So ask yourself if that's going to be the right kind of client where you want to have that discussion every time you make a decision. If they want to change things, which chances are they will, they'll think they get everything in that same price, even if they up the spec, change things, want redesigns, all those kinds of things. So just be careful with those kinds of clients and, just be careful, be smart. Okay. Ripal, I increased 3 times what I used to charge a year ago because my quality of work has increased and my clients are paying, so I believe I'm charging okay. Again, this is one of those things that I think if the market will take the increase in prices and you keep on working and you are just as busy, maybe even busier, because there is, like I say, a perception that the more you charge, the better quality you are. Not in everything, but if you've got a portfolio to back it up and you can talk the talk and you can walk the walk, there's no reason why you can't increase your prices, because you should have a solid reputation and a solid portfolio to help you build that reputation. So that's what I would say. Okay, so have a little look at some more little comments on here. Sinriser, 1,500 euros for a standard site. I suppose it depends what a standard site is, and I suppose it depends on what you are doing for that and what market you're in. There's different markets. They'll sustain different kind of pricing. Like I say, there's no one size fits all. There's no one rule for everything. So what else do we have? Okay, Anthony, we'll take a little look at that a little later. I've already favorited you now, so I'm going to come back to your comment a little later. Michael, right, yeah, 50% upfront and 50% this owing. It's always difficult to have a chunk of cash outstanding like that. So maybe while, things are a little bit more difficult, or maybe just moving forward, a 3-payment plan might be a better option just to safeguard you against things like that. If it's a couple of £100, it's not the end of the world. But when it's 2.5 grand, that's a chunk of change. That's not something you want to lose out on. So, like I said earlier on, good luck. I hope everything works out, and I hope that the client comes back, pays you up, and everything goes smoothly from now on. Alfred, what's a small and big project for you? I would say a small project is your typical sort of simple website, maybe 5 pages that have no real dynamic content inside there. Your homepage, your contact page, your services, mobile responsive, those kinds of things. A big project would generally be something that is a dynamic-based website, so it's custom built, usually using WordPress right at the moment anyway. So let's just say, for example, like I've done a business website, an accommodation-based website for where my business was located. So that was all the businesses that were accommodation businesses, so hotels, bed and breakfasts, sort of all those kinds of things. They had an organization there that would have those on board, and they created a annual brochure, which I used to design and print and everything, and do that as well as the website that had somewhere in the region of a few hundred businesses on there with each individual listings, those kinds of things, as well as a ton of information about what to do, downloadable PDFs, those kinds of things. And I've done another one for the same town, which was for an art festival, and again, totally dynamic. So you'd have, relationships between things like the artists, the exhibitions they were doing, the dates and times of those exhibitions, artist bios, all those kinds of things. So that was on probably a smaller scale of design over the one that was the accommodation-based business. But that was, for me, is generally a bigger kind of website. I wouldn't tend to go bigger than that because I found from past experience as a individual, as a freelancer, as a one-man band kind of thing, you have to know your limitations on what you can realistically put together in a realistic timescale for a realistic budget. And I think as a general rule, and like I said, this is just a general rule, for big projects, let's just say, 10, 20 grand's worth, maybe plus that, most people that are going to hand over that kind of amount of money are going to want to have an agency, or going to want to have a business with multiple different people in there. So, if one designer, God forbid, becomes ill, leaves, whatever, there's already other designers there that can fill that gap and carry on the project. No downtime, support, and everything is there, and dedicated support, all those kinds of things. So I think you have to know your limitation as a freelancer to what you can provide value-wise, not necessarily what you could design and build web side of things. So hope that answers the question. Okay, before we go any further, we're about half an hour in. I just want to say a big thank you to tonight's sponsor of Lockdown Live. And as per usual, it's dynamic content for Elementor. So if you do work with dynamic content as part of Elementor and you want a Swiss Army knife to get so many things that are a lot easier, check out dynamic content for Elementor. There's a dedicated playlist on the YouTube channel of about 10 or 12 videos covering all different aspects of how to get the most out of dynamic content for Elementor. And while we're on it, you've got a 10% off while this live stream is going on with Lockdown Live as the discount code. So if you want to check that out, please do. If you want to check out how to use it, there's tons and tons of videos on the YouTube channel. So thank you very much to Dynamic Content for Elementor, as always, for sponsoring tonight's Lockdown Live. Okay, so Pascal, just to keep this going, we'll do a couple more points on you and then we move on to the next point. Take a deposit, and I often do milestones in 3 or 4 payments. I think milestones are something that on a bigger project is a must, especially in the current climate where we have no idea how secure businesses that we may be working with actually are. So I think milestones are probably going to be the way to go. So thank you very much, Pascal, for letting us know that's how you work. Okay, let's have a little look. Ronald, what have we got to say? Part 1. As a previous business coach, I've told people to price their based on total time. 20% of time marketing, 20% learning time, 20% running the business. And the second part is 20% odds and ends things and 20% of our time doing the work that goes to the client. Sounds like a good option to me. Like I say, you have to look at kind of breaking things down, I think, anyway, whether that's milestones, whether that's set sort of points inside a typical project, so that's deposit, design approval, and then, sort of sign off to the client. But yeah, milestones are definitely the way to go, I think, on projects that are worth, let's just say, 1,000 plus. That's €1,000, $1,000, £1,000. When you're getting up into, like Michael's talking about, of 5 grand, I think that would probably be a good option to look at. Right. What else do we have? I'm going to do one more comment. Susan, absolutely fantastic to see you in tonight. I hope you're well, and it's great to see you tonight. 50% upfront, and yes, no live IP until paid. I offer payment plans if needed. Now, payment plans is something that I used to do, and if you've got someone that is coming to you and they've got a project in mind, and they've got a list of requirements, and the reality is the requirements they have, there's no way they could fit into the budget that they could afford in the timescale your project would run for. So let's just say, I don't know, 2 to 4 weeks for a typical CMS-based project, e-commerce-based project. Sometimes giving the client what they want and letting them pay over a longer period of time, like Susan's saying, like I used to do before, and I've done again, is definitely something that's worth looking at doing, because it can give you more return. It spreads the payments for the client. They get the website that they actually want and need, and not having things cut back just to fit into their budget. That's also a good option to take a look at doing as well. So maybe take a look at that in the future if you are concerned that you've got potential clients coming along, they can't afford what they actually want, but you'd like to give them that. Instead of cutting your costs, instead of cutting how much you charge, give them the opportunity to spread payments over a payment plan. Have that put in place before you start work. Still take the deposit at the beginning and spread the costs over a couple of months maybe to make it easier for them and help your cash flow as well. So it's a good option. And thank you very much, Susan, for saying that tonight. I'd forgotten about payment plans. Okay. Let's just scroll down through these a second. Okay, so we've got some fantastic ones. Uta at Marco. I start at $3,500 for a normal WooCommerce shop. WooCommerce is one of those areas, or e-commerce, let's just not worry about WooCommerce, but e-commerce is one of those areas that I think lots of people either undercharge dramatically or overcharge excessively. And what I mean by that is, if you're the one that's actually going to have to put the sort of products, the variations, all those kinds of things in, that takes a huge amount of time. If you can outsource that to someone in another country where the rates of pay are lower, and you can just let that, what used to be called the donkey work, in other words, the things that don't take any real skill to do, that's one way of doing it, which you can keep your prices down. But e-commerce is one of those things that there's usually a lot more time taken in e-commerce than there is in a typical sort of CMS type website, unless that's a massive website. So good to know the kind of prices that we're talking about starting from. Uta, if you don't mind me asking, where are you based? Was it the Netherlands you said, or where are you based? Let me know, because it'd be interesting to find out if you're charging $3,500 as a starting point, where you are in the world, and let me know if you have any objections to potential clients for the amount of money that you're actually looking at there for a typical WooCommerce site. Always good to know. Okay, where can I get a t-shirt, James? You mean one of these t-shirts? Good question. I wasn't 100% happy with some of the ones that I received from the print company that did these. Most of them were tidy, but there were a couple that the standard wasn't up there, and I'd hate to sort of send something out. So I just haven't had the time to look at getting more of these done, but I will be doing more of these kinds of things and hopefully make them available in the future, in the near future. So keep an eye out, and if you're interested, let me know on the Facebook group, and if enough people are interested. UK is probably easier at the moment to send these out to, just for the fact that shipping is a lot easier at the moment in the UK. But let me know. Let me know in the Facebook group if you're interested. Okay. So we've got lots and lots of great comments in. So, okay, let me just have a little look. Right, so the next point I want to come on to, now we've kind of covered this, is now let me go on to slide 2, and I've got to make sure they've got the right slide here, is Metabox. So this is more to do with the dynamic content side of things. We kind of discussed the whole pricing thing, why I put my prices up and those kinds of things. So I wanted to talk about Metabox. Now, if you're not sure about Metabox, Metabox is basically another meta field type plugin for WordPress that's in the same kind of lines as Advanced Custom Fields Pro, Pods, Toolkit or Toolset, whichever one it is, never get it right, and Jet Engine. What it has is it's got a lot of functionality built directly into it, as opposed to ACF and ACF Pro, where you can't create custom post types. You don't have front-end posting. You have to go and purchase third-party plugins to do those kinds of things. So Metabox is something that I picked up a couple of days, well, actually yesterday. And I've been playing about with it today to see how well it works, because One of the main reasons I wanted to look at it is because if you take a look at my bricks builder video that I released probably last week, I think it was, maybe the week before, and the one I released this week on dynamic content, Metabox is supported out of the box in bricks. That's a lot of bees. So I'm kind of interested in seeing how that actually works and taking a look at some of the other things. I've been playing about with it with Elementor today. Excuse me. I know support inside Grid Builder WP is coming as well. So I'm kind of excited to see where that goes. And I've been doing at least a couple of tutorials on it. So if you missed out on the lifetime deal for ACF Pro and you'd like to have a lifetime deal on something like that you can use with Elementor, you can use with other tools like Bricks Builder. I believe it works with Oxygen as well. Take a look at that. I'll put a link in the description, or head over to the Facebook group, and there's a link inside there for Metabox. You can follow that, and that'll be quite useful. Ooh, I got a thumbs down. Thank you very much, whoever did that. You're an absolute star. Okay, so are you looking at Metabox yourself? Is this something that you've tried out? Are you interested in it? Let me know in the chat what your thoughts on Metabox are, and if you're excited to see some of the tutorials I'm going to bring out, because one of the things I do want to do is take a look at ways of creating more options for more tools to allow us to create more far-reaching, that doesn't make any sense, not even English, better websites, better listing websites, which will bring me on to Grid Builder in a little bit, because I'm going to talk about that as well, because Grid Builder, I did a tutorial, and even though it was a sponsored video, I've kind of toyed with it a little bit over probably the last year, 18 months. I never really got into it that much. So having to create some sponsored content on it, because I liked what it sounded like he was doing, I couldn't get my head around the cards side of thing on there that well, opened my eyes to just how good the filtering, the facets and the search and that are on there. It's actually really, really good and very, very fast. So you can expect there's going to be another tutorial, which probably won't be a sponsored one. This will be off my own back, which will show you how you can quickly, and I mean really quickly, create a listing website with full filtering very quickly, primarily just by using Grid Builder. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, let me know. Okay, so I'm going to come back and take a little look at some of the other comments on here. Thanks for talking about Metabox after the awesome AppSumo deal. No problem at all. Like I say, it's from my first toying about with it. If you're used to ACF and custom post type UI or Jet Engine or any of those things, you'll have no problem getting your head around setting things up, custom post types, taxonomies, meta boxes, meta fields, relationships, all those kinds of things. It is very, very much what you're used to. So you should have a learning curve that's going to be pretty straightforward. To get more out of it, obviously you're going to need to know more about it. But hopefully what I'll be able to do over the next couple of months is be able to bring you a few more pieces of content on how to use it, how to get started with it. So you can expect a sort of introduction to getting started with Metabox, a beginner's guide, like I've done with Pods, like I've done with ACF, like I've done with Jet Engine. I'll do one on that. And I'm going to take a look at how it integrates into some other tools. And I'm really hoping that Bricks Builder will take on board what I've been talking to Thomas about, which is giving us the ability to create conditional logic when it comes to dynamic data, and also the ability to create custom loops, because I believe that if we can do those two key things to start off with, you could take the lifetime deal of Bricks and the lifetime deal of Metabox, combine those two together for an investment of about $300 for up to 1,000 websites with no more costs on top of that. I believe that would be a pretty solid starting point for creating great websites, great listing websites, great dynamic websites. Yes, it's early in its development when it comes to Bricks, but Metabox is a pretty established product. There's tons of tutorials out there on it. They're integrating it more so into page builders. That's one of the key areas that I think they lacked support for. And so for me, Metabox has definitely moved on from when I looked at it probably about a year, 18 months ago, where I was asked to take a look at it. I never really thought it was going to be on par with how easy it was to take ACF or Jet Engine and combine that with tools like Beaver Builder, Divi, sort of Brizzy and Elementor. But that seems to be moving forward. So fingers crossed. And like I say, definitely worth taking a look at. And if you'd like to support the channel and what have you, let me know and I'll give you the link to grab that through my affiliate link if you want to support the channel. If you're interested in buying it, it costs you no more money. Okay. T-shirts should be saved up for a real-life pub meetup. Absolutely, Michael. And when we can actually get out, which hopefully will be sometime this year, I would absolutely love to do a meetup somewhere that's convenient, that we can actually get together and meet face-to-face and have a chat for all those people that are interested in joining up and just having a WP crew, how can I put it politely, piss up. Sounds good to me. Okay. Volga, funny, I thought you might agree with that as well. And Steve, what can I say? We'll have to get that sorted. We can actually get out and see people for real. Yanis, the great question about tools that are being sold on AppSumo is, why are they doing so? I think there's 3 key reasons why tools are being sold on AppSumo. One, it's a newish product service that needs to get an influx of cash, an influx of users, and it needs that sort of injection and to have the awareness of it raised. And let's be honest about it, if AppSumo buyers like a product or a service, they're very vocal about that and they tell other people and they buy into it in a big way. The second way, which unfortunately does happen, are companies that do it for the cash injection and they cut and run. You know, we've seen that quite a few different times. But when you kind of go into AppSumo knowing that not every single deal is going to pan out and you are getting it at a lower cost and there's a risk that's involved with that, I think you have to just throw your chips on the table, as it were, and see what happens. If you're adverse to doing that, then probably places like AppSumo with lifetime deals, probably not the best place to go looking for software and tools like that. The third one, I believe, is companies, and I can't say Metabox is doing this, I'm hoping that this is the reasoning behind it, is they've been established, but they're not getting the market traction that they want compared to their peers, their rivals and so on. And I think ACF Pro definitely has become the top dog, shall we say, when it comes to working with WordPress and custom fields. Metabox is a 10-year-old product, I believe. So I'm hoping that the reasoning behind it is that they want to raise awareness, they want to get more people on board, which means that their user base grows, which means that more people know about what they do, more content gets put out by people like myself and other people that create content like this. The word gets spread around and more people buy into it after the LTD is finished, and therefore they go on an upward trajectory. Am I right in saying that's exactly what they're doing? I have absolutely no idea. I don't know anybody inside Metabox. I don't really know Metabox as a product more than 2 days worth of playing around with it. So my fingers are crossed that it's going to be a positive, and I get a feeling that's what it's going to be. But the reality is you're talking $149, I believe, for the top tier unlimited investment. If you're worried about losing $150, I would probably say don't invest in it then if you're worried about it. That would be my kind of thing when it comes to it. Franz, I always said that correctly. Should I buy Metabox lifetime deal or invest in CrocoBlox? Depends what you want to do. To be honest, they both do a very similar thing. Obviously, CrocoBlox is focused primarily on Elementor and getting there with Gutenberg. So you have that relationship, that requirement to have at least one of those to work with. And as we know, while they're starting to move into what you can do with Gutenberg in a larger way, it's still not to the same level as what you can do inside Elementor. So there are limitations there. Outside that, at this point in time, there are no ways of using Jet Engine. However, Metabox, same as ACF, same as Pods, same as Toolset, Toolkit, whichever, they are agnostic. In other words, they don't rely specifically on a page builder. You can code a lot of this into the theme if you want to. So there are benefits from that side of things. Really comes down to what you want to do. I would say if you're new to this and you are an Elementor user, possibly with looking at Gutenberg, and you want to have lots of control and lots of extra features and you want to make it relatively easy, CrocoBlox would probably be a better way of going about doing it. However, if you don't want that reliance on having to use Elementor, then maybe Metabox would be a useful way to do things. What I would say is if you are interested in Metabox, you can get in with a 3-site license for $49, I think it is. And there's a 60-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked on AppSumo. So you can literally go in, try it for 60 days, see what you think of it. If you don't like it, get your money back and, maybe invest in Crocoblock if you haven't already, or have the two side by side and refund on whichever you kind of don't like. Because I believe, don't quote me 100%, but I believe Crocoblock gives a money back option as well. So check that out. Ooh, we got another thumbs down. Yay! Okay, so hope that answered the question anyway. Jay, you've already got ACF Pro. Do you think it's worth getting Metabox? Probably not, no, if I'm honest. If you want to have more tools in your toolbox, yeah, grab it. If you're already using ACF Pro and you've got the lifetime deal on that, and you're using that and you're doing everything you want with it, the only reason I would swap to Metabox over that is if you want to have really big websites with lots and lots of records and data and speed, which obviously should be a primary concern, then probably Metabox would be a better option for you, because you can strip out the data from the normal WordPress database and put it into its own database tables, which means that you reduce the number of records per entry, which means that searching and filtering inherently is quicker and your databases will be smaller. That's one of the key things. Also, if you find that you're using a ton of plugins just to get ACF to do the things you want, so things like custom post type UI and those kinds of things, front end forms and things, maybe Metabox would be a better option, because those are part of the plugin itself with the add-ons you kind of have, even with the basic setup. So I would say generally you're probably safe with ACF Pro, but if you want specific things or you want to cut down on your reliance upon plugins, maybe take a look at Metabox and see if that fulfills your requirements and reduces your amount of plugins, or if you have a big website and you want to have a streamlined, simpler database and a faster loading database, I would say that's worth taking a look at then with Metabox. Okay, excuse me. Yassian, Super Sticker, thank you very much. You're an absolute gentleman. Thank you very much. So I'm not going to say what it says because it always just no icon. Okay. Susan, ACF front end and ACF Pro can be replaced with Metabox. Yes, they can. You just have to make sure that you get, I think it's the second tier on AppSumo for Metabox, because that has front end in it. If you go for the bottom, which I think is the $49 one with 3 websites, that gives you 12 of the add-ons, not all of the add-ons. So you would be missing out on the front end option. How easy it is to implement, haven't tested it yet, but I will be testing it, because I bought the sort of the $49 one. I will be going to the $99 one just so I can test out the extra features to see what I think of those, like the front end and so on. So I will probably be taking a look at creating content on it. But again, it's one of those things that you've got to look at. If you're used to the tools that you're working with now, you're comfortable with them and you're getting great results, then I would question, do you need to jump on board Metabox? Unless, like I say, you have some of those things, that you have requirements for some of those things I've talked about, the database and so on. So, what else do we have? Do a comparison between Jet Engine and Metabox. Possibly when I know more about Metabox. Because at this point in time, like I say, I've literally tested a few things out yesterday and a little bit today to see if it would work with things like Elementor custom skin, those kinds of things, and how the data would actually show up inside the dashboard of Elementor and those kinds of things. And everything works in a very similar fashion because you've got an Elementor plugin that's part of Metabox. So it kind of replaces that non-native support for Metabox inside Elementor. But there's going to be limitations. I don't think we can deal with relationships, and I don't think we can deal with repeater regions and things. I don't think so. I don't think those options are in there yet. So I need to do a little bit more research before I could do a comparison that I would feel confident represents both products. Okay, so also interested in Metabox. Like I said, I would say the thing is, if you just want to experiment with it, you want to try it out and see if it's worth putting your money in, AppSumo makes it really, really easy, because you literally have 60 days, no quibble, money back guarantee, and the money's back in your account usually within about 24 hours, if not even quicker. So I think you've got nothing to lose by trying it out. You know, test it, see if you like it. You might find that it's absolutely perfect for what you want, or you might find you're just happy to have it in your toolbox for when you want some of those things that I've talked about, or you have some time to experiment and just have a little play about with it. I don't think there's any real negative to having extra tools in your toolbox, because it just opens up more options. So check it out. So we did a look. Michael, yeah, if cash flow wasn't so bad right now, I would have jumped straight on the Metabox LTD. I still believe there's about 10 days left on it. So you know, hopefully if things get a little bit better, you can opt in, at least test it out. So, you know, that would be quite cool. Worst case scenario, if you want to test it out, hit me up, DM me or something, and I can set up a test site, and I'll just install it, and you can just have a play about with it. I've got no problem with that. I picked up a lifetime deal on some hosting on AppSumo today anyway, so setting up a subdomain, and you can have a little play about with it on one of my subdomains. Hit me up in the DMs if you want to, and I can do that if you want to play about with it. Okay. Jay, I've already answered that one. John, is Metabox compatible with Oxygen Builder? It is compatible with Oxygen Builder, I believe. I don't believe Oxygen Builder is too bothered about where the dynamic data comes from. I'm pretty sure it is. Again, this is another one of those things that I want to do some more testing with Oxygen Builder, because I want to do a tutorial on Grid Builder with Oxygen, because I know that's supported. And I probably will do a Metabox and Oxygen to see, even like I say, even if it's just the basics, to see if these tools work together the way they're meant to. At which point, then I will take a look at doing those kinds of things. Good to see a few more peeps are involved or interested in getting together for a piss up. Richard, good to see you be interested in it as well. And what we got? Insight before action. Yeah, definitely be great to get together with everybody and have a little bit of a drink and some food and just have a face-to-face chat. It would be absolutely awesome. So that will be on the cards once the world is a safer place for us to all get together and drink lots of beer and eat lots of bad food. Okay. Alfred, we can meet up here in the Philippines so that you can release some stress. Wouldn't that just be nice? Okay. What else do we have? Okay, so I'm going to quickly skip past these because there's lots and lots of comments. So I'll come back to some of these a little later. So I will try my best to answer as many questions as I can a little bit later on. So the next thing I want to talk about is WP or Grid Builder WP. I always get this the wrong way around. If anybody saw the video that I released, I think it was yesterday, where I covered my sort of like just getting started with Grid Builder when it comes to working with Elementor. I've had access to Grid Builder for probably like 18 months, and I've toyed with it and I've played about with it. And I've never really invested the time that I should have done into it. But I kind of rectified that over the last few days because I can see the potential for it. And I've seen so many other people saying how good the plugin was that I thought I've got to give it some time. So spent a bit of time using it yesterday and the day before. And I will be honest, it does help do away with a couple of other plugins. And it is crazy fast when it comes to filtering. Now, I've used Facet WP, I've used Search and Filter Pro, I've used JetSmart filters. All of them are great plugins, but none of them kind of feel quite as fast as what I found with using Grid Builder WP. The card side of things is still a little bit hit and miss for me. I need to spend a little bit more time just getting my head around how to work with it. But if you take, for example, one of the predefined templates that you can load in, and there's about like 15, 16 templates on there. So most of your bases should be covered as a starting point. So you don't need to go right from, point zero. You can very quickly and easily add in dynamic data. You can edit what's inside there. You can do lots of formatting when it comes to dynamic data. So if, for example, you're creating, let's just say you wanted to do something like a real estate listing. Well, obviously you've got things like, excuse me, the amount of money that the property costs and different things like that. It's incredibly easy to format all of that inside Grid Builder WP. Applying the facets, really quick and easy. Hopefully what you saw in the tutorial yesterday was it's very easy. And the fact that you don't even have to use their cards option, you can just use the built-in native WordPress, Elementor Grid Builder, or Posts Grid, I should say, and you can filter that, and incredibly easy to do. I would probably use it, even if I don't want to use the cards feature, just for the fact that the filtering and the searching is really quick and easy. Plus, you'll integrate in with Search WP and Relevancy, so you could use those to actually control your search side of things. Stack your searches, tons of different kinds of searches and filters and sorts and all those kinds of things. So if you were looking for an easy way of being able to sort, filter, and have loads of control over facets, and if you want to have a grid builder inside there as well, I'm quite surprised how good it actually is and how fast it was and how quick and easy it was to get up and running once you spend just 10 minutes getting used to the basics of it. So I'm quite surprised. Like I said, they're not sponsoring this live stream. This is just my particular findings. If I like a product, I'll tell you I like a product. I won't tell you if I'm being sponsored on the time of the video, but outside that, if I think something is good, I'll say it's good. And I would say it's worth checking out if you're looking for something that has really good facets and search inside it. So check it out. And again, I think they offer either a 14 or 30-day money-back guarantee. So you potentially have nothing to lose by trying it out if you want to give it a go. Excuse me. Okay, good evening, Els. Good to see you in tonight. I see you put off, tidy up the office again. So, okay. Metabox has some nice extras. Let's have a look. What have we got to say? Metabox has nice extras like front-end submissions, also like ACF and Block Builder for Gutenberg. They want to expand their views solution so you can work better with Gutenberg. Yeah, views is basically the same kind of thing as what Toolset offers, which is how you can set things up like your, I think it's your archive and your single post pages and stuff like that, and you can get those to work with Gutenberg and so on. Again, this is one of those things that I really just need to get my head into and start playing about with and get a better idea of how things work. Okay, Creative Hustle. What have we got to say? Friend told me the jet engine post types, etc. are a bit cleaner in the database compared to ACF. I'm a big user of ACF, but trying to spend more time on jet engine. I haven't actually had a big enough database to test for a speed point of view when it comes to the two of these. Maybe it's something I'll see if I can find some way of generating, like, I don't know, 10,000 records or something on a custom post type, and then testing that out on Jet Engine and testing it out on some of the other sort of meta post. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? You know what I mean? The dynamic content tools like Jet Engine and ACF and so on, and see how they stack up. Do a comparison speed-wise on an identical kind of site, just using those as the backbone of the database. So if you find that interesting, let me know. Okay. Good to see so many people. Super chat from Carl. Thank you very much. You're an absolute star. Affiliate full site setup tutorial, possible new future project. Now, people ask me a lot about affiliate sites, but explain to me what you mean by an affiliate site when it comes to showing people how to build one. Give me an example of what you're talking about, because I'm not really sure how to go about doing it. I know you're talking about doing this, building it from scratch, or you're talking about using a plugin like, I think, is it like Affiliate WP or something like that? There's affiliate sort of plugins and things out there that'll do that kind of thing. Let me know, Carl, what you're talking about. Okay. I've just got Metabox Tier 3 via link port. Richard, you're an absolute gentleman. Thank you very much for your support. Absolutely much appreciated. Okay. What do we have? Paul, keeping it up with more than a part-time job. Appreciate you teaching. I do apologize. I do spend a lot of time looking at different tools and plugins and software and themes and different techniques and things. But I am trying to focus a little bit more at the moment, which is probably why you'll notice that the tutorials are not coming out as quick as they have been over the last couple of months. It's because I've been spending more time sort of building more deep dive tutorials. The last one that I did, the 3-part one, using Jet Engine, was pretty well received. So I'm going to try to do more like that. Like I said, the one that I'm working on at the moment, which is probably about 90% complete, is a real estate site. But this is a big undertaking when it comes to all the moving parts. For example, we tested out today to do the dependent filtering. In other words, you could look at the location, as in a city, then you can find the type of apartment the type of property you want to buy, and then another filter, and each one's dependent on the other. That's something I get asked for a lot. So I'm going to be covering that in this tutorial. We're going to be covering two-way relationships between agents and property and agents. We're going to have the ability to contact the agent direct from a property with all the details for the property included in the email. You can take a look at the actual agent and see all the properties that are associated with them. There's tons of different things that are going to be covered in this tutorial. So I'm kind of excited where that's going to go, but they do take a long time. I think this has probably taken me, I would say, probably the best part of about 3 full sort of 10-hour days just to go through and make sure everything looks good, works well, and there's still some refinement, still some design side of things I want to do. So when I release it, I will show you what would be effectively a finished site that you could copy what I do, and you can have a site up and running, a real estate site. So I hope that's something that would be of interest to people. But that has come in. I wanted to do it this week, but the reality is I just didn't have the time to do it along with everything else that I've had. So next week is probably going to be the aim, because I think this is going to be a 2 or 3 days to record, edit, and do everything that needs to be done before I can even release it. This is a big, big project. Okay. Carl, you agreed to the demo. It is super fast. That's right. You're referring to Grid Builder WP. It is fast. I mean, I tested this out on SiteGround and also on the hosting that I picked up off AppSumo, and really fast, really, really fast. So I'm really impressed with it. Testing WP Grid Builder on one of my affiliate sites, and I'm impressed. Good. I'm glad it's not just me. I'm glad I listened to people saying to check it out and take a look at it and get stuck in kind of thing, because it's good. Excuse me. Okay. Let's have a little look what we have inside of here. So lots and lots of comments coming in. So we're going to do a couple more bits and pieces. Then I want to just quickly do one more thing, and then we're going to do a Q&A session for probably about 10-15 minutes. Okay. I bought it just because how excited Paul was about it. Are we talking about? I'm talking about Grid Builder WP, I assume. If so, cool. Let me know what you think of it. Does Jet Engine work with Bricks Builder? No, it doesn't. Not to my understanding, anyway. This is one of those things that I hope when it comes to Bricks Builder that they focus on doing things the right way, as in it's not going to go down the route of some of the other page builders that are just chucking in tons and tons and tons of things just to be cool and relevant. I would much, much rather see the Bricks developers focus on some key areas. WooCommerce, making that something that you can design all of the pages and all of the pieces inside the pages, especially accounts, checkout pages, the cart pages, even down to the fact that it would be great if we could customize the email sides of things. That would be awesome. And dynamic content. I mean, obviously it's me, but having the fundamentals of dynamic content, because they've done so much with dynamic content to start off with and made it so seamless to integrate. If they can do those other things we talked about right back at the beginning, custom loop, dynamic conditions, and a couple of other things, I think Bricks would have an amazing future ahead of it. I just hope they don't fall prey to what's kind of going on in the Facebook group, which is tons of people saying, oh, you should add this, you should add this, you should add this, you should add this. I think focus on what makes it a solid core product in what I think that some of the other ones should have done. Open up an API to it, even if they don't let anybody else use the API to develop third-party plugins. Focus on a solid core product, use an API to bolt on and allow people to enable or disable the extras that they may or may not want on a particular project. That way, in my opinion, you end up with a much smoother, much more streamlined page builder moving forward that you can focus on making quick to work with and quick and streamlined on a front end point of view, which we know is going to be key moving forward. Anyway, did I pick up the Root Parlor hosting AppSumo deal? I did absolutely pick it up. Yep, I bought the sort of the tier 1, which was $100. Only gives you 2 websites, which is fine. But what it does do is it says unlimited subdomains, but the reality is there's a limitation on the databases, which I think is, I want to say maybe 10 or 15, something like somewhere around there. I can't exactly remember what it was. But I thought, well, for that investment, I would pay more than that to renew SiteGround when my SiteGround renewal is due. And I just used the SiteGround account just to use subdomains to create the demos and test things out on a real live server so I can get real world results as opposed to doing it on local host or anything like that. So I kind of bought this to hopefully replace that and make my money back after the first year on it. And if it's as good, I mean, I've got to be honest, I've tested it out today and it's fast. So providing that stays as it is, I might hop on and pick up another license on it and get 10 sites, which gives me like 30 or 40 subdomains, which is more than enough. I have no intention of putting clients' websites on there. It is only for me to test and demo. So I don't care if things get screwed up on there. I shouldn't need technical support most of the time. Subdomains are all I really want. So that's kind of what I picked it up for. So yeah, there it is. Yeah, Stratos. Speaking of Bricks Builder, and from what Michael's just saying, good job on the Bricks Builder tutorial. Great to see that you've picked it up, which is great to hear again. Facebook had a major hack again this week. Yep, loads and loads of data being spread about, as per usual when it comes to Facebook. So we'll say no more on that. Nice to see some love inside you for Stratos as well. So it's great to see that people are actually recognizing Stratos are doing an amazing job creating some great content out there. So if you haven't checked it out, please do go and check out Stratos' YouTube channel. Stratos, if you'd like to put a link to that in the chat so we can sort of let people see that, check that out because I think that's definitely worth checking out. Some great tutorials on it and more coming soon, I hope. Okay. Michael Schmidt. Love your Elementor Crockbook Dynamic tutorials. Hope to see more. Thank you for everything. Oh, you will be seeing more. There's definitely another big tutorial coming out next week. Like I said, we just talked about it, which is the real estate one, which has tons of skills that you should be using to create more dynamic websites. And I'm kind of excited to drop this one because there's a lot of things I wanted to do inside there. And I've covered those, like I say, two-way relationships, those kinds of things that we need to know to build more advanced websites. So that will be coming next week, hopefully. Jay, Star Host has been quite good as well so far. Was that an AppSumo deal? I know there's a couple of different sort of hosting ones on there at the moment, so I kind of went for this one because a lot of people saying it is good. Their kind of reasoning behind what they do, not overselling, those kinds of things, kind of piqued my interest. And I just could have thought for $100, which is probably about 70 UK pounds, I think it worked out around about that, it was worth doing. Because I've got hosting, I've got my hosting that I use for my clients. I've got hosting on SiteGround that I use for demo sites. I've got hosting with Cloudways, which is where I will be hosting the new WP Tuts website. And I've now got this RootPal. Those are just there for testing purposes. So if they go to the wall in a year, 2 years, 3 years time, I'll have my money's worth out of it. Fingers crossed they won't. I don't want to see any company going like that. It should be quite cool. Okay. Stratos, Michael Wright's got a question for you, so feel free to sort that one out between yourselves. Paul Tracy, is this next project using Elementor? It is using Elementor because at this point in time, Elementor is still the best page builder for working with dynamic content. Brizzy still isn't up there yet. Bricks, still new at the block. Divi, probably wouldn't use it. Beaver Builder, I think the cost investment on Beaver Builder for one or two websites, because you've got to have Beaver Builder and Beaver Themer, is my understanding, to be able to build dynamic websites and have control over the templating system. It's quite an investment, cost investment to test things out. I've got access to it. I just haven't got around to actually testing it out. There's only so many hours in a day. But yes, it's using Elementor. Okay, so final thing I want to cover today, and this is just a bit of self-promotion, so you're going to have to bear with me. I hope I press the right button now, because this is to do with a new webinar that I'm going to, my first webinar that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. I'll be opening this up to, this is a purchased webinar, so this isn't something that's going to be free. There's a price tag attached to this. There might be a couple of different ways in which I'm going to go about doing it. I'm still planning those out, but the poll that I did, design systems came back as the thing that most people wanted to know about on how to use them. And I'll explain why very, very briefly, but the whole point behind the design system is to help you speed up the process of designing websites for clients or for yourself to make your designs faster process, more profitable, which ultimately is what we all want to do. So the design system webinar is going to be probably an hour-long webinar with a Q&A session afterwards. And the whole point behind it is to excuse me, explain what design systems are, whether you need to use a design system, the benefits of using a design system. We're going to go through, take a look at some practical examples by companies like Google, Microsoft, IBM, and also some smaller sort of examples. And then we're going to take a look at breaking it down, how to create your own design system for, we'll say, a fictitious client. And we're going to take a look at how to create a simple one, but how you can expand upon that and how you could make this available to anybody that's part of your design team. This could be print, it could be advertising and promotion. It could be anything to do with building a website, content creation. It could be client work. You could even just create these, make them hidden on a website for a client, make it a password protected page that no one has access to except for you. And then when you go back and you need to do things for the client's website, you can just simply go in there, grab the code snippets you might need to, color representation, fonts, spacing, all those kinds of things, all the things that you can use to just make designing and updating and maintaining client websites or projects for yourself a much quicker and more profitable experience. So that's part of what's going to be covered in this. The second thing I want to say is that while the webinar is going to be restricted to, at this point in time, only 50 places, and the registration is going to be open for probably 2 to 3 days, and that's it. Once it's sold out, it's sold out. I might also make a micro course that covers more of the topic. So which means that there might be a package which would be the webinar on its own, or the mini course on its own, or you could be able to purchase the two together for a discounted kind of rate. These are not going to be crazy expensive because they're smaller webinar and courses. But if you're interested in that kind of thing, make sure you subscribe or you sign up to the Facebook group because it will be inside there. And also, if you haven't already signed up to my mailing list, you can go to wptech.co.uk/sign up, put your details in there, and then you'll be notified as soon as this comes out. But that's my sort of sales pitch for tonight. So hopefully this will be something that you will enjoy, you'll find useful, because the whole point is I want to show you how you can use these to just make your life much easier when you're working with designs, how you can speed up the process, and ultimately how you can just become more profitable in your freelancing, in your agency work, whatever it is you're doing, just to make your life easier. Okay. Final thing. It's Q&A time. Okay, so first things first, if you're enjoying the live stream tonight, if you're new here, if you're enjoying it, if you've been here before and you're still enjoying it, give it a thumbs up because it does help out. There's only 46 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down, and we have 78 people in right now. So make sure you hit that thumbs up to tell YouTube that you like the content and you like the live stream. Do it for me. Okay, so let's get some questions going. If you want to know about the design system course, the design system webinar, let me know. If you want to talk about anything we've covered in tonight's live stream, pop your questions inside there. I'd love to know what you want to talk about tonight. And let's have about 15-20 minutes and we can talk about different things. Be quite cool. Okay, thank you much for the thumbs up. Keep them coming. Thank you, Rich. It's Q&A time. How much is the design course, Paul? At this point in time, I'm still working on the pricing structure, and I'm probably going to be working in dollars as opposed to pounds because the majority of the audience that I have is US based. But even if you're not, you'll still be able to use Stripe or PayPal, so it doesn't really matter. Don't quote me on this one. It's probably going to be around between $49 and $79. And like I said, that will give you then access to the webinar. It's limited in places. We're going to have an hour-long webinar and a Q&A session specific to that afterwards. And there might be some other things as well, some other goodies that will be part of that webinar. But that's kind of where we're going to be with that price-wise. So don't quote me 100% on it. That might fluctuate and change, but that's kind of where I'm pitching it right now, because I think that's good enough value for money for what we're going to cover, but not out of the realms of making it stupid expensive. Okay. Always good seeing you, and hope you enjoyed the coffee we all offered some time ago. I'm not too sure what that is, but okay, thank you. I'm assuming you mean like to buy me a coffee. If so, thank you very much for the support, but I'm not too sure. Alfred, you can work on that price. Thank you very much. D is for David. Good evening, David. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so let's have a little look at some of the questions we've got inside here. Let me just go back to my favorite. What have we got? Okay, Anthony. Like the grid builder video you made, however, it doesn't seem like it's really flexible in terms of custom layout, and to use fastest with Elementor, it's an additional cost you didn't mention. No, there's no additional cost to you. Well, I suppose the additional cost is you would need Elementor Pro to do it. But actually, do you need Elementor Pro? I don't know if you actually need Elementor Pro. But if you use Grid Builder WP, you have the Elementor plugin is free anyway. the plugin that you use to connect Elementor and Grid Builder together. So the whole process should be pretty straightforward, and you can style all of the facets and everything directly inside Elementor as well. So you get full control over that side of things. So there is actually quite a lot of control over it, which I will be covering in more detail in a different video where I'm going to take a look at creating a listing website quite quickly with it. So there is scope to create different layouts. There's scope to style things. Most of what you should need should be in there, to be honest. And like I said, the only additional cost is obviously going to be Elementor if you want to use Pro. I'm not sure if you actually need Pro. I'd have to check that one out. So I'll take a little look at that. Okay. Yeah, let's go back to the Thrive Architect, I believe was one of the questions on you. Naeem, how about Thrive Architect? Is it good to try? Is this good to try? They did contact me about 2 years ago to take a look at Thrive Architect, and they gave me a license for it. I think it was like a 12 months access to it. I tested it out, and I didn't really think it was a particularly great platform. I know some people absolutely love it. For me, I just didn't think it was that. It felt dated, and it felt just a little bit less intuitive to what we were getting used to when it came to working with things like Elementor, which was probably quite fresh out at the time that I was testing things out. So, not saying it's a bad platform, it's just I didn't resonate with me. Okay, excuse the slurping there, that's probably really noisy. Okay, let's have a little look what we've got. I have a question. Are you going to visit Greece? I don't know. When we can actually travel outside of the UK, I don't know. If I'm quite honest, I would love to go and travel to some more countries, because we were originally going to be going to Croatia again this year, but our flights were cancelled for that. We wanted to go last year. We were going to go to Malta, I think, last year. Thankfully, we didn't book the flights because that was about a week before the big C decided to ruin everybody's plans last year. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to visit Greece. I would love to visit lots of countries, to be honest. So never say never. And if I do, then I'm sure that we could arrange a meetup. Okay, very nice animation, Paul. Thank you very much. Do you need an apprentice, Paul? I can do that for you for free. I wish I did. Can you put a link in here so we can sign up for the course? Anna, I will, once the actual link and everything is ready. I'm still tweaking the landing page and the link through to make the purchase side of things. So I will be doing that. So please do, if you're not already a member of the Facebook group, please do sign up to that, just so you can be kept up to date as soon as it goes live. Like I say, I am going to restrict this to only 50 places, just because I want to make sure that everything works perfectly. I don't want a poor experience. And I think 50 is a nice round figure that we can test things out and have time to let people actually get involved in the Q&A at the end of it, as opposed to having 300, 500 people kind of thing in there, and then I can't answer enough questions, or we spend the entire weekend answering questions. So please do. Still waiting for my DCI t-shirt, Paul. Funny enough, it's upstairs. Carl, message me after this and let me know, are you still in the UK? If you are, let me know, and I'll get that out to you over the weekend. And there's another little gift in there for you as well for being such an awesome sport. So hit me up after this on the chat. You need Elementor Pro to create the archive page for the filters. Good point. But that's if you want to use archive page. I suppose if you want to use the templating system, you could still use Grid Builder without needing to use the archive template. So there's still ways you could use it without having to have Elementor Pro. Okay. We got Anthony again. Paul, are you able to customize the layout in a card, like add 2 or 3 columns in the content area, or add 2 or 3 buttons in the card or hover area? Yeah, you can control things like the number of columns. You can set that up based upon the size of the screen that you're working with. You can adjust the width of each of those cards. You can basically control almost every aspect of the card as well, the content that's in there, the various different things, dynamic data. Some of these things I will be showing in a tutorial. Maybe next week, maybe the week after, I don't know. It comes down to when I get the time. When I'll show you how to do listings, where we'll take a look at how you can set up the facets, how you can set up the cards, and how you can actually link in dynamic data from either ACF, maybe actually apparently Metabox isn't currently supported, so it would probably be ACF that I would look at doing that with. And I'll show you how you combine the tools and how you could then use this to become the backbone for your listings, for your filtering, for your searching, all inside pretty much the one plugin. So yeah, that will be kind of be covered in the tutorial. Have you ever tried DigitalOcean and RunCloud? It's pretty smooth and fast. Creative hassle. No, I haven't actually tried that. There's so many sort of cloud-based hosting companies out there, and I just don't have the resources financially to go and try them all out, or the time. I wish I did. Just unfortunately, it's one of those things. Plus, I don't really want to get too bogged down with having loads of different hosting accounts for various different reasons. It means it takes me away from the things that I need to be doing, which is quickly setting up and deploying WordPress sites, installing default sets of plugins and themes and things, and then just getting stuck into creating the tutorials, or researching how to do things to create the tutorial. So I'm kind of trying to limit it. Like I say, at the point in time, I've got SiteGround and I've got RootPal. But if RootPal pans out, then I won't be renewing SiteGround when that's up for renewal next year. I will just keep doing things on RootPal and maybe expand that into a bigger plan to have access to more subdomains and more domains and things. That's kind of that's where I am at the moment. Alfred, how about ClickFunnels? What are your thoughts on that software? It focuses on funnels, lead generation to be specific. I think ClickFunnels is good at what it does from my understanding. I just think it's way too expensive. There are lots of other tools out there that you could use that can do very similar things. I just bought into Thrivecart on the recommendation of my good friend Dave Foy, who basically uses this to run the entire backbone of his business for his training courses, his email marketing, all those kinds of things. So if you'd be interested in taking a look at how you could utilize a tool like Thrivecart, let me know if they're on the replay in the comment section or the chat section. And if enough people are interested, then I'll take a look at showing you how you could use that, because you can do funnels in there. There's also a good deal on AppSumo at the moment that's getting lots of really good press. Bear with me a second. This is a WordPress-based tool, but I know a lot of people, it's got a lot of good reviews, and the developer, she's really into making this a really solid product. So let me have a little look a second, and I'll just pull the screen up once I found what I'm looking for. And that might be worth taking a look at. And I've been interested in sort of possibly picking this up myself just to test it out, because it is getting such good reviews. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. Just bear with me while I take a look, because there's just there we go. Let me just put my screen on. So StudioCart, it's $80 to buy in. Now this is on the marketplace. So normally in the marketplace it was a case you could only buy one license, but now they're allowing stacking on this, so you can get multiple. But the $79 gives you, if I'm not mistaken, 3 websites, unlimited funnels on those 5 websites, unlimited funnels on there. But you can go up to 2 codes will give you 10, 3 codes will give you unlimited websites. It integrates with various different sort of services like MailPoet, SendFox, Tutor LMS, and Wishlist Member, and so on. It's got 5-star reviews. Like I said, the developer, Nicole, I think it's a UK-based developer. But if you're looking for something, I like, when it comes to things like this, I like lifetime deals, because I think I don't use them that often. So it's a lot of money to invest in something that you might use once or twice a year. Whereas with something like this, if you find that this does the job and it does it well, you've got a great platform. But if you find you start using landing pages more often, then you could take a look at going up to something like Lead Pages or something. But my thought process behind it is tools like Lead Pages, they're just crazy expensive for what they actually are. If you make your money back though, they're worth every penny. Okay. Richard. See a few sites built with Thrive, but they all look the same. Not sure how flexible it really is. I don't know. Like I say, it's one of those things that I toyed with it for probably half an hour or so. Didn't find it as intuitive as I was hoping it would be, and just moved on to something else. There's only so much time I can realistically invest in testing things out before, if I don't get sort of like an immediate feel for it and feel like get excited about it, I generally won't go much further with it. I mean, the number of companies that contact me, I think I probably get like 5 or 6 emails every single day, providing me with the best opportunities in the world. They want me to create content for basically nothing. And I just don't have the time. Some of them look interesting, and if they do look interesting, then I'll contact them back and maybe take a look at doing it. But I've got so many tools that I've got to test out and so much content to create. I just don't have the time to test these things out. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it in the slightest. It's a really enviable position to be in, where people do want to send you or give you access to their tools because they want to get you in front of, or they want to get in front of my audience, people like yourselves, and show how good some of these products are. And I'm probably missing out on a ton of products that are absolutely amazing, but time is something that I just only have a finite amount of. Okay, Els. We'll be interested to see what you can do with Elementor Free and Grid Builder. They say it works on their site, but interested in what limitations are. I'll have a little look. Like I say, I think the biggest limitation is going to be to do with the theming system, the templating system, because obviously you won't have access to that. So if you don't need that, which you don't need it in every scenario, then it might be perfectly fine. I'll have a little look. I'll have to see how it kind of works with it. I also want to try it with some other tools as well, like taking a look at something like Blocksy. Because there's no reason why you couldn't integrate it into that and use this for your filtering and so on, then Blocksy for some of the other designs of the pages and that. So you could get quite creative and take a look at integrating it into some other tools. So I will be taking a look at doing those kinds of things. Visit Sri Lanka one day. So many countries I'd love to take a look at. So never say never. Hopefully, like I say, in the next, well, probably next year, we'll be in a position where we can actually travel internationally, at which point then I will be looking at quite a few different places to go and visit. So that'll be cool. Let's have a little look. What do we have? Random question. Michael, what's your chair? I need a new one and yours looks comfy. It's just the standard IKEA chair. I don't know what they call it. It'll be something that I couldn't pronounce even if I wanted to. I've got to admit, they're quite tidy. I mean, it's got a bit of lumbar support on it. It's flexible enough. I think it's leather. It might be faux leather. I don't know. But it's comfortable. And they're pretty solid. I've got two of them. They're okay. You should be able to pick up in pretty much any IKEA. Okay. Let's have a look. Alfred, if you're familiar with ClickFunnels, can you do a tutorial on how to build sales funnels using WordPress? I will probably take a look at doing something like that in the future. It's not something that really gets a lot of attention on my channel. Dave Foy was the king of ClickFunnels, or the king of funnels. So I would recommend going to take a look at Dave Foy's. I think he did a 3 or 4 part on creating sales funnels with Elementor. So I would definitely recommend going to check that out. Just do a search on YouTube for Dave Foy ClickFunnels. Yeah. Or sales funnels. Dave Foy funnels. Have a little look on there and you should be able to find a 3 or 4 part tutorial. Dave knows what he's talking about when it comes to sales funnels. Have a little look at that. You'll probably do a better job than I will. But I might take a look at doing something in the future. Paul, should I go for the Metabox deal? Can I achieve what it does it for free? Should you go for it? That's a choice only you could make. Can you do what it does for free? To an extent, you probably could with pods, but I'm not really a big pods user, so I don't know where the limitations would come in. I know pods doesn't support front end, or I'm pretty sure pods doesn't support front end data input. So you probably have a limitation there if you wanted to do that. You could, it really comes down to what you want to do. You'd have to look at what you're trying to achieve and are there free tools. But the thing I would always say when it comes to free tools is it's free for a reason. It's either free because they're drawing you into a pro version. It's free because it's something that they've done because they found a gap in the market that they wanted a product for and they've created and put it out there. You have to ask yourself how much support would you get from it. Generally, I would say if you're doing things that are important in a design for yourself or for a client, a paid product is 90% of the time going to be a more solid, supportable product over a free product, unless it's just something really simple like conditions or something. So it would come down to what you're trying to achieve as to whether you could do it for no cost at all. But I think the cost of entry for Metabox and the 60-day money-back return from AppSumo, if you are interested in it, I would say give it a shot, because if it's not for you and you don't like it, just get your money back. I say there's no quibble with that. It's easy to do. It's literally a 2-minute job to say you want a refund from your account, and it's done. Okay. What's your best recommendation for site speed when it comes to plugins and CDNs? Which do you actually use? When it comes to CDNs, I use Bunny CDN because it's a very good CDN and it's ridiculously cheap. I think I probably pay, I don't know, 20, 30 cents a month for, the traffic. My site isn't a huge amount of traffic, probably, I don't know, maybe 50, 60,000 views a month kind of thing on it. So nothing massive, but that works perfectly fine. It's easy to set up, it's powerful, it's flexible, totally scalable. So I would recommend taking a look at that. And I've also bought into WP Rocket, which is another solid product. I know NitroPack gets a lot of really good press with it, but NitroPack is expensive. So I think a combination of something like Bunny CDN and WP Rocket should be a solid platform. If you're using SiteGround, take a look at using their own SG optimizer, or whatever hosting you're using. Take a look at what optimization tools they might have, because if you look at Cloudways, for example, they've got Breeze, which is their tool for sort of caching and so on. Take a look at your hosting first of all, see what's in there, maybe test that out, see if that gives you the results that you're looking for. If not, then maybe take a look at like WP Rocket and Bunny CDN. Those are two that I've definitely bought into and I pay for out of my own pocket. There's no affiliate, no kickback, nothing at all on those. So check those out. Okay. Good evening, Andre. I hope you're doing well. Do you do mentoring, Steve from Stoke? To be honest, Istvan, I don't. Steve from Stoke. Okay, I don't. I don't really. I thought about doing consultation and mentoring and stuff like that. I mean, my background is teaching anyway. I spent 10 years as an IT tutor, and sort of did one-to-one training as well as classroom training. But I just don't have the time to do it, to be honest. As much as I might like to do it, as much as I might, I think I can provide more value by creating the content on the tutorials and things like that than I can trying to fit in doing mentoring. But if you've got something specific in mind, let me know. And, never say never is what I was kind of say. No, I'm not going to attempt to say your name. I apologize, because I will just sound terrible doing it. What do you think about Oxygen Builder? It is I find it very flexible. Oxygen Builder is great. We've had conversations about Oxygen Builder quite a few times on the channel before, so I'm not going to kind of go over that in too much detail. But Oxygen Builder, solid platform. I think it's definitely got a pretty good roadmap. They've definitely improved where it was in version 1 and version 2 when I tested it originally. I will be doing more content on it because I do think it's a growing platform and something that I think I need to look at in more detail. As some of the things they brought out in, I think is 3.7, and I'm sure Stratos will correct me if I'm wrong on this. Some of the things they brought out in 3.7 are really, really solid improvements. And 3.8 has some nice things to sort of look forward to when they release the final of that. So yeah, solid builder, solid platform, and great to see more tools are starting to support. Like I say, Grid Builder WP has native support for it. Yeah, I think it's Grid Builder WP has native support for it. There's quite a few supported straight out of the box, so that's good to see that there's more going for there as well. So really cool to see that. Okay, Alfred, let me just put this in there for you. It's Dave Foy, just so you know how to find it. So just so you know, that's what you've got to look for on YouTube, Dave Foy. Okay, Andrew, good to see you. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Okay, Pods does not even support repeater. You have to add an extra plugin to the workaround. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I say Pods is not something that I've done a couple of tutorials. Actually, I think I did one tutorial on it. And it was okay. I just thought it looked a little bit dated. The functionality is fine, but it just didn't seem like a particularly polished product, in my opinion. I say that's just my opinion. Okay. We're going to have a couple more questions, and then we are going to call it an evening because I'm conscious of the time. Okay. 147 Dev. I know you're solid with Elementor, but are you going to do any Divi videos more regularly? Also, will you be having Kyle from Tab back? Kyle, yes, Kyle will be coming back. We're going to be doing, hopefully, some more things in the future. Kyle is a genuinely nice guy, and I actually enjoy doing live streams and things with him. He's a knowledgeable young man and doing some really good things. So if you don't know Kyle, Kyle is Kyle Van Dusen over the admin bar. If you haven't taken a look at the admin bar website, or you haven't taken a look at the admin bar Facebook group, check those out, because it's a good group. It's a nice experience in there with some very knowledgeable people and some great information you can pick up about running a web design business, freelancing, pricing, dealing with contracts, those kinds of things. So check that out if you haven't already. As for Divi videos, I'm not the biggest fan of Divi, if I'm honest. I don't really like the interface. I think it's too many options. I don't like the having to save every time you do something. But I might take a look at doing something, but it would be specifically to do with dynamic content as opposed to anything to do with design. I think there's already some people out there that are doing a lot of Divi content, and I don't really want to try to compete with those because I don't have the market share in that when it comes to YouTube. So the viewing is going to be pretty low for the time that I would have to invest in creating the content on it. But I have been thinking about doing some tutorials on how to use dynamic content with all the key page builders. So it's like a brief video on showing you how you use dynamic content with Divi, with Beaver Builder. I've already done Elementor and now Bricks. But taking a look at doing those kinds of things. So if you'd be interested in those, so you can see how the different page builders work in relation to dealing with dynamic content, let me know in the comments if you're watching on replay, or let me know inside the chat tonight. Okay. I'm correct. Thank you very much, Starters, for getting that and letting me know. What is the Elementor add-on for Grid Builder for you? And would you get it? Please pull up your page to see what I mean in the add-on area. Okay, bear with me a second then. Let me just pull this information up. Right, the add-ons. So if we take a look, let me just pop over to my screen. If we take a look at the add-ons, we have the Elementor add-on, and we've got the Oxygen add-on as well. So this is free. If you purchase a copy of WP Grid Builder or Grid Builder WP, always get that backwards, you can install the Elementor add-on with no cost, I believe. That's my understanding. I'm pretty sure it's a free add-on anyway. If not, actually, let me just open this up in a incognito window a second, just so I can see that I'm not talking absolute rubbish. Let me just... Come on. Okay. Purchase options. Oh, I tell a lie. Okay, it is a paid for add-on. I thought it was just included it. Get a licensed WP Grid Builder to have access to all the add-ons. Yeah, so I think if you get a license for Grid Builder WP, you already have these add-ons available to you anyway. I don't think you have to pay for these separately. That's my understanding. That's what I've got with my account on there anyway. So if that is the case, which I'm pretty sure that's what it is, what it does is it basically gives you the ability to control and style and insert using Elementor widgets so you don't need to worry about shortcodes and things. It's it's really easy to sort of work with it. If you just give me a second, let me see if I can remember where I actually did this video. Let me just have a little look if I got the right one. If I have, then what I can do is I can log in and I can show you basically what it does. Yeah, okay. So if I just log into this site a second, this is the site that I set up for the tutorial. So let me just switch you over to my account. Well, before I do, let me just log in so you can't see that. Right, let me just log in. Okay, excuse the jumping around and excuse the very quick way of doing this. So if we go into pages, for example, and we'll open up the page that I created, which I think is the sample grid. We'll edit that with Elementor. What it basically does is it gives you a couple of extra widgets that you can see that allows you to drop these in. So for example, if I do a search inside here and I do a search for facet, you can see there's the facet, and I can just drag and drop that into there. And then what I can do is I can just choose the facet that I want, for example, the search, tell it that I want it to use this particular grid that we've got there, and now the search is linked into there. And now if I click on this, I've got full control over styling every single aspect of that particular facet inside this particular page or template or whatever you're kind of working with. And that's what the Elementor widget or the Elementor add-on does when it comes to WP Grid Builder. It effectively gives you the ability to quickly and easily style everything. Just use widgets that you're normally used to when you're working with Elementor. So that's kind of what it does. I hope that answers the question. And like I say, from what it says there is you get access to that when you have a license for WP Grid Builder anyway. And it doesn't seem to be, from my understanding, if I just go back to WP Grid Builder a second, when you go to the pricing, for example, I do believe, let me just switch you back over. yeah, so you have all add-ons are included no matter which one you buy, whether it's basic, premium, or ultimate. You get all of the add-ons included. So you'd have the Elementor add-on included in the $49. It's kind of a strange way of actually showing it, to be honest, that you've got this add-on price and you've got it included if you purchase a license. So I can understand the confusion there. But yeah, you get those add-ons included with your license, depending on which one you buy. So you should have access to all those. Okay, so we're going to do one more question, and then we're going to call it a night, because I'm quite conscious of the fact we've been on for not far off 2 hours, and Carl will be giving me a row if I'm not listening to what he says. Oh, okay. What else do we have? 24-bit audio. What are my views on Brizy Page Builder? I like Brizy. I think Brizy is a really nice, well thought out page builder. My biggest concern with Brizy is its slow development cycle. It takes a long time for things to come out. But now that they've got the blog facility and they've got the WooCommerce integration facility, I really need to go back and take a look at it and see how to build a website using those tools inside Brizy or Brizy, depending upon where you come from. Excuse me. But yeah, great. I like it as a page builder. It's nice, quick, and easy to work with. Michael, I'm just going to say, I'm going to say that. I'm saying nothing. Okay, let's just scroll down a little bit. Carl's going to tell me off now. I'm not careful. Yeah, and it definitely does. It is a bit confusing having that there. Like I say, the fact that it says you purchase it, all the add-ons are included, and then you can purchase the add-ons separately. I don't quite understand that myself. So perhaps I'll have a word with, I think, if I pronounce this right, Loic, who's the developer behind Grid Builder WP. I might sort of ask him for some clarification on why he's done it that way. Okay, Stratos. Okay, WooCommerce with Brizy integration is not finished yet. I thought it was, but happy to be corrected on that one. Okay, we're going to have one more question, and then we are going to call it a night. And what are we going to have? Mario, let's say that. Speed, what do you think about the future? Page Builder, will they leave the market in 2 or 3 years? No, I don't think they will. I think the reason is, one of the comments that came up a little while back was, do we think that themes are something that's going to be in the past? Are we going to not see themes inside WordPress in the next couple of years? And thinking about that, I think it's the same as what we're kind of getting with page builders. There's always going to be a market for people that want to build a website with WordPress, that want to have a simple way of building it. And that generally involves doing something like using a page builder of sorts. So I don't think we're going to see an abandonment of that anytime soon. Will we see more designers and developers moving on to other ways of working? Possibly. But you've got to kind of consider the fact that even if you look at something like Gutenberg, Gutenberg is still a page builder of sorts, a pretty rubbish one that still needs to have a lot of other tools added onto it to make the blocks usable. It's still effectively a page builder of sorts. I think what we are going to see is page builders that want to stay relevant and keep a good market share are going to have to change the way that they work. I think they're going to have to focus on speed. They're going to have to focus on simplicity. And I think extensibility is going to be something that's going to be important. As I talked about earlier on, I think having an open API for any page builder, which means that you can focus on building a core product that's quick, solid, and has all the foundational tools you need to build a website, and then all the bells and whistles are separate to that, included in the price or separate. I don't really care which way they go about it. But you basically just bolt those on when you want to have extra features. So for example, dynamic content. If you have no use for it, it's not included in the core builder. But if you do have use for it, there's a dynamic add-on that bolts in via the API that the developers of the core sort of page builder have, and they integrate the two together and they get access to all that. That's what I would say is the best way of doing it, because a modular system that makes working with things just so much easier. That's what I would like to think is going to happen. And I would like to think that's what's going to happen moving forward. Okay, so I'm going to call it a night there if you don't mind. Like I say, I'm conscious of the fact that we're nearly 2 hours in. What I would love you to do for me before we call it a night, though, is if you've enjoyed the live stream tonight, please do give it a thumbs up. Let YouTube know that you enjoyed the topics tonight. You enjoyed the things we've discussed. If you'd like to come back and join me again in 2 weeks' time, it will be, what are we talking, 14 days, so it'll be, what, the 22nd? Yes, the 22nd of April will be the next live stream, 6 p.m. GMT, same as tonight. I will put a sort of link up so you can subscribe and you can be notified. If you haven't already joined up to the Facebook group, by all means, please head over to the link you can see on screen right now, wptest.co.uk/Facebook, become part of the Facebook group and get involved. And if you want to continue in the conversations we're having tonight in there, by all means, do that. But I'm going to say tonight, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed the live stream. I've enjoyed spending time with you guys, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time, if I don't see you before, on the Facebook group or on the YouTube channel. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and I'll see you all really, really soon.